Hey everybody, welcome to Murder Moose with my co-host Bryan because Josh is out of commission.
Hey,
what's up, buddy?
That's a really sweet introduction, man. I feel so welcome.
Dude, I'm just Bryan. I have the last one you interrupted me midway through.
Yeah,
so
I said, "Hey everybody, welcome to the Dead on Murder Moose Way podcast." I am Bryan.
You completely fucked with me. So I was kind of like, I started talking. I was like, I don't think I'm going to put any thought. Not that I ever put lots of thought into these things, but like into what I'm saying right now, because I think Bryan's just going to interrupt me, and I think you fucked with me more this time by not interrupting me. So here we are, and that was that thing. Yes, we are Murder Moose, part of the Dead in Santa Carla / Cast podcast network. I did that on purpose, by the way. Actually, I didn't. I'm fucking tired. I started saying it. I'm like, I'm just gonna fucking roll with it.
Part of the Dead in Santa Carla / Cast podcast network.
Yep, exactly. I mean,
we are podcast brothers, is what we are.
Yeah, we are. We're podcast brothers from another mother.
Yes.
And yes, we are part of the / Cast podcast network. Bryan has been around a lot, and thank God he's going back to work next week. So this is going to be our episode for this week, and then I got I'm recording an episode sometime in the next couple of days with Jerry about Mag. God damn it! Why can't I remember the name of that magnificent malignant? Why? So I want to talk about I want to talk about generically about malignant for a second, but like that, I don't know why the word malignant. Every time I try to think of it, my brain does not want to think of the word malignant.
Huh? Interesting.
I don't know why.
I don't know. I don't know where to go with this. I'm trying to.
I don't know. I'm just. It's fucking random. So it's random. How the fuck are you, Bryan?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I'm doing clearly better than you. You're a little frazzled. You're a little tired. You're sucking down coffee. But you're drinking it out of a Baby Yoda Grogu coffee cup, which is awesome. Super cute. My coffee cups all have slashers on them. I've got a Jason Voorhees one and a Michael Myers one. I have a Stay Puffed one. He's technically not a slasher, but
he's a horror villain.
He could have killed some motherfuckers for sure.
Dude, do you ever see that? I think, was it you guys were talking about it when you guys talked about Ghostbusters, where like that shit would have melted people's souls,
yeah, we basically had it was great. We had the guys from 3B Video, the Deep Cut podcast. Yeah, we had Roger DeMarco and the Evil Machine. And they did some research and found that if that would have gotten that hot, that it literally turned into liquid like that, and it landed on Peck, it would have absolutely turned him into ash. He would have completely been incinerated. So yeah, man,
I made the unfortunate mistake of listening to those motherfuckers talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and I don't know if I could enjoy those two anymore because they just shit all over that movie.
Oh, they don't like TCM 2? Oh, that's funny.
Oh no, they both of them said that their favorite is fucking is Texas Chainsaw 3, which I finally watched recently for the first time, and it was not bad. It just kind of felt like a generic slasher.
It's not as... You're right, yeah. I think that's what because we actually... we're going to be discussing that for our anniversary episode coming up in October, because that'll be 2 years of me and Andy doing ours. And we talked about TCM for the episode 1, and then on our year anniversary, we talked about TCM 2. So we're just going to go down the line and knock out all of them. So, and we're going to get into some stinkers.
I mean, the next one is
the Next Generation. Oh, that's a smelly entry right there. That's a smelly.
It's entry. It's a movie that is very similar to. It's a weird thing. It's very similar to Cabin in the Woods, a movie that like a studio didn't know what to do with, and so they just kind of held it back, and then Chris Hemsworth became Thor, and then they put it out.
Yeah,
and I mean.
That's a far superior movie, but you're right.
No doubt with that.
Right.
I love Cabin in the Woods.
Oh yeah,
I'm just saying the studio didn't know what to do with it, like that. Right. And so what's funny because if I missed an episode last year because of COVID. I think I had COVID. I never got it.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember when that happened too.
Because of my shit. Yeah. So this would be our 52nd show. We did our 50th show last week, and I didn't even remember to acknowledge it because I'm just, my head is all over the fucking place right now.
Oh, wow. So I was part of your 50th show?
Yep. You were
cool.
Indeed.
Oh, that was fun.
So we've done 3 in a row.
Yeah, we have.
That, so I have to ask, what is your what have you been watching? You been watching anything good?
Let's see. I did watch Malignant. Enjoyed it.
Did you enjoy it?
I did. I did enjoy it,
dude.
Have you watched it yet?
Are you? Yeah, I loved it, dude. Yeah. I'm actually amazed. That movie is one of the most divisive horror movies I've seen in a long time. Like, and I actually found today for the first time a couple of people I know who were like just mixed about it, because every other person I've seen has been like, I fucking hate this movie, or it's like it's been really. I feel like people like you and I who like are more open to weird horror were like more into it.
Well, I think, I think you're absolutely right. I think your general your non okay, I'm trying to figure out the way to say this. Your non horror fan, if that makes any sense. Will watch it will probably just be like, what the fuck is this? But people have a lot of that watch, like, I think, because the thing is this movie has so many different elements. I mean, it's got Italian horror elements in it. It's got drama horror elements in it.
It's got haunted house.
Yes, exactly. It's got all sorts of different vibes going. Yep. And I think that uber horror fans that try to watch all of that will get an appreciation for it, and you're only going to capture some of the casual horror fans. That's just the assumption that I get anyway. Because you're right, it's only rocking at 53% on the audience right now, and that's usually that's flip-flop, because right now critically it's at 76%. Critics get it,
dude. This is how I was thinking about. I kept trying to think about the best way to put it, and basically, this is my kind of. This is probably the best way I put it, because the other way I thought might have been a little more, it might annoy someone. But basically, someone was like, "Man, I really like BDSM," and then like someone like puts them in a gimp suit and then like nipple clamps on them, and they go, "Oh shit, maybe I don't like what I was telling everyone I like." Like they're claiming they're one thing, and then it's not really like. Yeah, man, you and I have, we're the extremes of it, right? Because we talk about horror on a weekly basis, but I think people who say they're horror fans who didn't like that movie are people who like, as a whole, like, because I feel like you can't watch that movie as a horror fan and see inspirations, and like I saw people like just dropping weird like backhanded like slights at that movie, like, oh, that's not a Giallo movie, and it's like. It's just because it has there are Giallo elements to it, but I don't think anyone ever claimed it was a Giallo. I think other people were, but like shit like that. But man, I just think that movie it just shows more James Wan doing cool shit that is unique, and like he does shit, man, all the time. Like there's scenes in that movie, and we're not gonna go into too much because I'm talking about it with Jerry in a couple days, but there's just like really just cool scenes that remind me of like old Universal horror.
Oh,
like,
yeah, absolutely.
Like when they go underground at one point and there's like just mist sitting on the ground, it just feels so And the house even gave me like Psycho House vibes, kind of like that. Like
I completely agree.
Yeah. So I can understand like you not like my friend Classy Katie was a streamer today. She said she liked it. She didn't like the main actress, and I'm like, I can see that. Like that's like a legitimate like. I mean, that's not like a big thing, but like, and that was why she was a little more mixed. But she seemed to really be liking it. Besides that, so I don't know. It's a lot of stuff. Have you watched anything else cool? That was like,
I'm trying to think. I feel like I have, but I just can't think of. It must not have been too great.
Yeah.
You know, I man, you know me, man. I'm old. I watch a lot of Cheers. You know, like
I know you do.
Like I get like I pop like an edible, and then I'll just sit there and stare at Cheers and shit. Like you know, tonight when my edible kicks in, you know, I'll probably sit there and watch Cheers.
There's like a requirement of everyone that Andy does a podcast with that like they're in love with Cheers because Steven is also a giant fucking Cheers fan. Right?
It's my favorite show of all time. That I have like 4 sitcoms that I cycle through, and Cheers is obviously one of them. And then I go to Frasier, and then I'll watch Friends, and then I'll watch Schitt's Creek because I love those shows.
Yeah, I've been like that's my first like I've been going through my first like watch of Schitt's Creek, and I enjoy it, but it's very odd, and my wife doesn't like it, so I only get like a couple episodes in here or there, like so.
Man,
I don't know.
That show to death. I absolutely just love that show. I think it's fantastic.
The ones I cycle through are Archer.
I like Archer.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay, that's a good show.
Futurama.
You know, I never got into Futurama. I should have.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good, man.
I got a buddy that's a huge Futurama fan.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same kind of people that were really into Simpsons, just depending on the time. Yeah. I actually think Futurama was, for the first part, was a better show than a lot of the Simpsons, but not the early Simpsons, but and then like the other ones I'll watch things like I'll watch Rick and Morty, but like I don't watch that as much. Stuff like that. I don't know, random stuff, but I'm all over the place. But those 3 are kind of what I've been watching a lot lately. So it's yeah.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine's really funny. I should watch more of that. Yeah.
It's ending. This is like their final season.
I think so. I think you're right. Yeah.
There's like 2 more episodes left, and it sucks. But it was kind of hard because like the last season, like the season, like the previous season they did, and then all the George Floyd stuff happened, and it's kind of like it's kind of hard for like a comedy show about cops, especially and so they've kind of tackled a lot of those stuffs, and I think they've done it in a good way. But yeah, it's still so. But Josh, I just called you Josh. I am fucking. This is how my brain is doing.
Yeah, you're really
Bryan, dude. I had a long week at work. And then I streamed. We were talking about it before. I streamed for like 3.5 hours. This goofy game with my buddy Alka.
Hilarious game. Holy shit! I was dying laughing. I was dying laughing.
It's called
funny.
Super Bunny Man, and I think it just wore me out. Which like just laughing. I like my throat hurt from laughing so hard. But yeah, so I'm a beat. But yeah, so Bryan, we talked. I was like, oh Bryan, I want to record an episode with you because you're going back to work last week, and I was like looking around, and I was like. You know, I've been wanting to talk about this movie that's on Shudder for a while, and just hadn't came up. And it's an Australian slasher movie called The Furies. And this movie is a ton of fun, man.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it came out in 2019, so like the same year as Haunt, and it's another movie that just like completely embraces that the horror, like the 80s slasher vibes, right?
Yeah.
And the thing about this, and you know, it's funny, speaking of Haunt, I've been seeing a lot of people talking about Haunt recently, and it makes me happy because we just hit the 2-year release window of it, like anniversary of it being released. I think a lot of that has to do with what's his name, the guy that you guys had on. What's his name?
Damien Maffei.
Yeah, Damien. He goes around finding people tweeting about it, and he retweets some of his stuff like that.
He's a funny dude.
Dude, yeah.
He's a cool guy. I'd like to have him back on the podcast and talk with him again. Yeah. I want to have him on and talk Silent Rage starring Chuck Norris because he was joking about that movie a lot when we were talking with him. But he's a really cool guy. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he seemed like really entertaining. You guys have like especially. I mean, I think a lot of it is Andy, right? And his like weird connections he has all over the place. But like that, like you guys bring like I'm having Jerry on because I didn't know who Jerry was before you guys had on, and like you know
Twitter,
stuff like that.
Honestly, it's Twitter. I was actually the guy that secured Damien. I just
were you?
I just added him. I was just like, hey, Damien. Well, we mentioned Haunt. because we talked about it, and then he retweeted it and said something. And then I said, yeah, we'd actually love to have you on the pod sometime and talk horror with you. And he said, anytime. So I DM'd him, and then he said, okay, let's do it. And he was just that cool, just that chill. So Jordan Downey was a lot the same way. I think I was the one. No, I'm trying to remember. I think Andy might actually have been the one that.
Andy has all the Ohio.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Connections with him.
Connection. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's funny like all these connections Andy has. I mean, fuck, it's like his connections on Twitter, how I met him, and but like that's how he met all the guys from Gun and. Guess what? Now Andy is working for fucking Gun here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, man. He leaves in 10 days. He has secured his home and everything. So a lot of that dope. Pressure's off of him now. So,
yeah, so fucking stoked for that, man. But so it's funny because with all that the hype for Haunt, I feel like I've never heard anyone mention this movie.
Yeah, that's a shame, man, because. I'm glad you wanted to talk about it because it gave me an excuse to watch it. And this is a pretty cool fucking movie. It's got like all sorts of different really fun elements. It's definitely a slasher at its core, but it's got it's got a Hunger Games vibe.
Yeah.
It's got
exactly.
the Hunt reminds me, some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. I guess like a third of the movie's budget was the effects, visual effects.
Dude, so let me read that. There's not much of it. This is a synopsis on IMDb. It says, a woman is kidnapped and finds herself an unwilling participant in a deadly game where women are hunted by masked men. So one of the things I've watched this movie, I think about 3 times now because I watched it and then I did a video on my YouTube when I was doing that and like poorly doing that. But this is the 3rd time. And this movie, man, one of the things I really like is they have a lot of really, really cool designs in this because there are basically the premise, like it says, women are hunted by masked men. So they have all these guys who are masked and they have like all these different masks and you don't see all of them. You probably see like 10 or 12 masks and they're all really cool. Like they're all unique. They're all like different. They're all interesting and it's such a cool like concept to get all these, different slasher things together in this, this like, unique space that they have to set up. And man, I don't know for sure, but fuck, you think about this movie and you look at it, it looks like they found an old like Australian, this movie is Australian. Mm-hmm. And the Australian woods are way cooler looking to me than like American woods because they're like they're more unique, right? Like they have these weird they're like swamp forests kind of like this is what they kind of look like, right? Yeah. And so that like it looks like they found an old abandoned mining town or something that like in the middle of nowhere in Australia and they shot this movie and so they could like the location probably cost them nothing, right? And so it was probably like
not much, yeah.
It was just
the
like
budget on this is estimated at $17 million.
Where? Like
I don't know.
I like
17.5 estimated budget on that's from IMDb also. So I mean,
I wonder if is that a like again? I wonder is that like because of Australian things, right? Like because is this more expensive because of shooting in Australia?
Maybe.
Like it doesn't seem like a whole lot of things shoot in Australia, right? Like I know like the Mad Max movies have shot in Australia because I think like George Miller is Australian, right? Or is he not?
No idea.
I don't know.
It's a good question.
But he likes shooting that in Australia, right? Because like Mel Gibson's Australian, right? Isn't he?
Yeah.
Mel Gibson? Yeah, and so like I don't know. There's like a lot of those connections. But you think about it, I like there's like not that many horror movies that pop up out of Australia, I feel like, but like some like I think of Australian horror and I think of like Wolf Creek. I think Wolf Creek's probably the first one I think of when I think of Australian horror.
Okay.
But like back in the 80s they had stuff like that they had some like road killer movie that I can't even who the fuck was in that movie. I've seen it keeps popping up on lists that seems like it was pretty big. They also had that boar movie in the 80s that was pretty like the killer boar was like fucking up a bunch of people. That's another one that like but like Australian movies don't seem to get like the other one that I think of when I think of Australian horror, that The Loved Ones. Have you seen The Loved Ones?
Fucking awesome. Yeah.
Dude,
I haven't seen it in a long time though. I need to watch that.
Yeah.
I do revisit.
Dude, that movie's twisted. I think we need to talk.
Horrifying.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, well, it's one of those things where it's so rare that you have these horror villains that are women, right? Mm-hmm. Like it happens, but like that movie it feels grounded, but like not at the same time, right? It's like it's more of the human monster element of what that the basis of that movie, and it's warped. That whole movie's warped, but man, it's really good. But it's dark. It's very, dark and twisted. Yeah.
Yeah. Side note, real quick, Mel Gibson's totally American.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Why did I think he was Australian?
Because Mad Max. Honestly, I mean, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's very American. He's of Irish descent, though. But yeah,
that makes sense with his crazy Irish Catholicness. Well, dude, the problem is think about it. Like, how many fucking like actors from like England or Australia or New Zealand and shit like are like that, and then they come over here and they just talk in this fucking perfect English like American accent, like, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, the first time I heard Tom Hardy speak like not like in his American accent, I'm like, what the fuck? Like that shit like that, right? Like, it's so it throws me off sometimes. So sometimes I just assume these motherfuckers are like Australian or English, and they're not. I guess I don't know.
These motherfuckers.
All these motherfuckers. But man, the design in this movie, dude, and I think that this movie also does something that I really approve of. This movie is primarily practical effects, and there are some fucking brutal fucking kills in this movie.
The first kill, I mean, well, other than the cold open.
The first one you see, the first one you see, right?
Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
I was wondering how far they were going to go with that. I mean, because they showed, the initial, and we'll get to it because we'll talk spoilers later, like we usually do.
Yep.
Holy shit. When they started that kill, I was like, oh, this could be really savage. How far do they go? And when they went, I was like, wow. I was impressed. Yeah. I was very impressed. Because it's gory, but it doesn't look like cheap. It doesn't look cheap at all. This is a really nihilistic movie. Like, this is this is at its core. This is a super violent, really nihilistic movie that
you brought up Hunger Games, and a lot of the tone of what is happening in this movie is very them versus us, the rich versus the poor, the rich doing whatever they want because they have all the money and resources and whatever, which is like, oh, and if you fight back against us, this is when the Hunger Games happen. But like, that's the kind of thing that this movie has as like a background theme, and it does a lot with that, and it does a lot like in the 80 something. It's an hour and 22 minutes, so it's 82 minutes long. It accomplishes a lot, and it accomplishes a lot with like telling the story and doing cool stuff. Like and the concepts with the Beauty and the Beast is cool. And the way they the main character has epilepsy, and the way they wrap that into the plot and stuff is it's pretty cool for like, because I don't think the technology in this movie is like, currently available that they kind of like, hint at, but it's close. Like, I just think
it's clever. It's clever.
Yeah.
It's very clever because, I mean, it's not a spoiler because it's found it pretty early. They've installed cameras in these girls and guys' heads, and it's pretty clever the way they worked her epilepsy into the plot. And it gives her a I guess you could call it an advantage, but it never works out really advantageously for her. Not too much, honestly. Like, discovering them, it helped her discover what they had done to them for sure. Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty fucking clever. It was pretty fucking clever. Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
It sets it up because it's you sit there, and especially like this movie, it's funny because like I said, I've watched it like 3 times. There is stuff like that. It does a good job like kind of keeping things like a little mysterious at first, right? And like when you go and watch this again, you know, if you know what's happening, things make way more sense the first time. But like it doesn't. It's never confusing, but it's like a cool like element of keeping stuff in the dark, right? And it's not very often, man, you get like slashers with multiple killers, right? Like it's not a. I mean, it's usually things like Scream where you have like one killer, but it's really 2 killers, kind of stuff. Like and so they do a lot of really cool stuff. And like I said, I think that's what really shines is the design of the killers. Fantastic. The practical effects are all really fucking good.
Oh, very good. Yes.
But I really do want to know how easy the one scene in that I go, the arms on the back of the tree thing.
Yeah, that dude was feeling himself when he was able to pull that off.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, I don't know how you. Yeah, I don't know how you can do this. But
Hollywood magic, baby.
Yeah, Hollywood Australian magic. Hollywood magic.
Australian Hollywood magic, yeah.
Yeah. But man, I just think that like, you know, you hear all the time because like slashers aren't in anymore, right? They're not like a horror element that gets made all the time. I think there's more of it happening now with the resurgence, right? We got Halloween Kills coming out. We got the Chucky series coming out.
Yeah, we have
Candyman, and then the Scream 5 Scream remake is reboot, whatever the fuck it is in January. So that like there's a revival going, and I think that this movie like should get more attention. And it's funny because I never shut up about Shudder. I never shut up. I mean, we talk about Shudder on this podcast all the time. But it's another movie that you just go, they went out, found something that was not getting distribution or wasn't getting major distribution, and they like give it attention, and they put Shudder Exclusive, and I wish it got more attention, man. Like, but that's not all. Like you guys on Dead in Santa Carla talked about The Headhunter like a while back, and that's another one that movie's fucking cool as shit.
Yeah, it's a cool movie. That's a really cool movie.
It's another like really unique and like interesting thing. That movie had elements of like Willy's Wonderland, right? Or like your main character really doesn't say anything the whole movie, and it's just a visual storytelling medium, which is cool with me, right?
That guy they got to find for that role, man. That was they just why he hasn't shown up in anything else like big is beyond me.
Wasn't he like Norwegian or something like that?
He's definitely Nordic of sorts.
Yeah.
His name is Christopher Rygh, Rygh. And the fact that he hasn't blown up and become a pretty good size, pretty good star is kind of beyond me. He's got some stuff coming out though. He plays in a movie called Medieval. Comes out in 2022, so that's good. Nice. His credits have definitely doubled.
Yeah. Well, dude,
he did some TV work too. That's good.
It's funny, man. Like, even with the credit of things like Jordan Peele and like everything that's happening with these horror directors getting more credit, there's always like these groups of underrated horror movies because of I feel still there's like still a huge portion of like press especially who doesn't give horror any credit, right? I mean, it's not as bad as it used to be. I mean, I know you guys like on Dead in Santa Carla often talk about what like Siskel and Ebert said about movies and shit like that, and like the gore and stuff that they are so like apart, like, you know, not afraid of, but just not into. So I think for like, dude, there are movies that I still think I go like Mike Flanagan, everything that motherfucker has directed has been fucking dope, right? Like
he's a visionary. That guy's him and Jordan Peele, you know, and those two guys, you know, just particularly at the top of my head are easily the future of horror. You know, that you could throw. There's some other really good ones in there, like Christopher Landon. I really like what he's done so far. He's really injected a lot of like emotion and a lot of really cool things into his films. With Freaky and he did the 2 Happy Death Day movies.
Yep.
But yeah, it's, you know, the future of horror it looks bright, really. And to go back to what you said when you mentioned us talking about Siskel and Ebert, you're right. It seems like almost every other episode, Andy and I will bring that up because it's always because of how much Gene Siskel absolutely detested horror.
Yeah.
Fucking hated it. He shit on everything. It seemed, man, he did not like horror at all.
Yeah. You know what? I understand because horror isn't for everyone. Like it's not something that like everyone goes into, but like not giving it credit for being what it is just like kind of like, you know, it might not be for you, but that doesn't mean it's bad, right? Like I think there's this fucking thing, a part of our culture. I mean, and go back to we're talking about Siskel and Ebert, but like going into now, like talk about Malignant, and there are people that just like adamant about their opinions and like telling other people their opinion sucks. It's like, but why can't you just let people enjoy shit? Like let people enjoy stuff that doesn't hurt. This is all I'm saying. If you're not hurting anyone, I don't give a fuck what you're doing. Right? I don't care what you're wearing, who you're fucking, what is in your pants. I don't care any of this shit. As long as you're not hurting anyone and you're like, I'm happy. You do whatever you do, you boo. But like, there's so many people that are like outraged by everything and like whatever, and it's like horror's not real cinema. It's like that. Oliver Stone just said that bullshit recently, didn't he? He said something. Yeah. Something it was like that. Horror isn't real movie, like cinema or something like that. And it's just like, again, man, I don't.
You
get
watch
it.
Get Out and tell me that that's not a real fucking film.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
I'm sorry. Like, go watch like Alien's my fucking favorite movie of all time, and I'm sorry, one of the fucking best movies of all time. I don't give a fuck what you say otherwise. Like Aliens, it is.
Yeah, that's. And it's at its core, it's a slasher. I mean, you know, and it's one of the best films ever made. It's easily one of the top 3 sci-fi films ever made. Yeah, and that's exactly at its core. It's essentially a slasher film. Yeah, and that's a masterpiece. That's a fucking masterpiece right there. I tell you. So, like, you know, like I think there's a overwhelming thing where people compare like the Slumber Party Massacre with like Alien or Halloween or something like that. Which is the problem because it's like action movies, right? Like for every like really, really high like production action movie, like even especially nowadays, like for every raid you get 7 direct to DVD Bruce Willis, you know, action movies. And so I don't get why. I think he just did a direct to video one with Frank Grillo.
Yeah.
It's getting completely shit on. I think it's called Cosmic Sin or some shit like that. I don't know. I haven't watched it. I will eventually.
All Bruce Willis, I think, has admitted he just makes those movies to make money. He doesn't give a fuck about him, and it's like I don't know. You hear Kevin Smith, yeah. You hear Kevin Smith talk about Bruce Willis, and he's like a giant asshole.
Yeah, they did not have a good experience working together. I think it was because this is going to sound like I'm not a Kevin Smith fan, but I do like Kevin Smith. But I will admit that I honestly think that he, as a filmmaker, he's not the strongest, honestly.
Oh, no.
And this is coming from somebody who really likes most of his movies. Yeah. But what Kevin Smith is really strong at is dialogue.
Dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah. I will always watch a Kevin Smith movie because there's going to be very, very good, funny dialogue in it. Bruce Willis is not used to making movies with filmmakers that aren't honestly really good at making movies.
Yeah.
That's not like I said, that sounds really harsh. Like I don't like Kevin Smith. I like Kevin Smith.
No.
I like his movies.
Yeah, he stepped out of his element more than once.
Cop Out was like a rough because that was a studio film and he's never done one since. That was his first studio film, and he'll never do another one. He said, and I don't blame him because that's not his forte. You know, they have a lot of different demands that you need to meet because you got to please all these fucking producers that don't know how to make a fucking movie themselves, but they want to tell you how to make yours. Yeah. And
I hate it, dude.
That would suck. And if you kept doing that, we wouldn't get the. Because we got Clerks 3 coming out. I'm fucking ready for it. If I really hope there's another donkey fucking scene.
Sometimes it's okay to go ass to mouth.
Sometimes it's in the heat of the moment. It's okay to go ass to mouth.
You know, all I could think of when you were talking about that was like it's like Kevin Smith is like the yin to Rob Zombie's yang kind of thing. Like
probably.
It's funny because like it's. I mean, Kevin Smith has a lot in common with Quentin Tarantino, right? But Quentin Tarantino has like, because they both came up at the same time too. Like, Clerks, and you go back to Reservoir Dogs. They both are the Weinstein motherfuckers, but like Quentin just knows how to. He knows how to do. I don't know how much of it was. I think Quentin is way more better with like using people for their strengths, like cinematographers, right? Because he uses the same cinematographers for everything, which enables them to do crazy shit like Kill Bill, right? Like, Kill Bill. I still think Kill Bill 1's ending sequence is one of the coolest things of the last 20 years, like action movie. Yeah,
it's a blast.
But yeah, so it's weird, man, and so it's funny. Like we jumped around all this hoop, and it's just talking about basically how cinema is different for everything, and just like why can't you just let people enjoy their killer clowns from outer space or their furies or so like the thing with this movie too, like I won't say like we'll spoil it here in a second, but like go watch this movie, especially if you like the 80s slasher movies. It's not super deep, like it's 82 minutes, but it sets up the plot and then just goes balls to the wall for the next 70 minutes, right? Okay, we got all fucked up right here.
Man.
Fucking Discord shit all over us, and we've gone to the fancy Zoom.
Yeah, we're using Zoom now. Fuck Discord. Discord's lame.
Discord can eat my ass after Taco Bell. No. Yeah. So we were saying, I was saying when we kind of started having problems, if you're into horror and slashers and shit like that, go check this out. It's quick, it's brutal, it's a lot of fun. And Gizmo's disagreeing with me because he's Gizmo, but I think he's hungry again.
Gizmo's kind of bougie though, isn't he? And Gizmo kind of bougie dog.
He is, man. He's like he has his fancy food and he has to have like probiotics on his food because he's got a little sensitive stomach. And then he doesn't eat till nighttime. He's a vampire. That's what he is. I think Gizmo. No, he's a gremlin. I think Gizmo is just trying to like more gremlins. He doesn't realize he has to wait till after midnight. And here we are. So if you like slashers, 80 slashers, you like fun, brutal kills. If you're a gore hound, this movie's a ton of fun, right?
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was super cool. Yeah. Watched it with the wife. She enjoyed it too. She was like, I like that a lot. It was really fun. Yeah. I have literally one complaint, and that's it. So
yeah. We'll talk about that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll talk a little spoiler.
Yeah. Shut up, Gizmo. He's so sassy. Like when he wants something, man. I've been posting Twitter videos, and like he gets sassy about 3 things. 1, he wants to go outside. 2, he's hungry. 3, he wants me to play ball. And then he gives me shit about all these things afterwards. And he's like, oh, I'm so cute. I could get away with it.
Yeah. He is really cute.
Yeah, he is. So yeah, we're going to go into spoilers. So go watch that. and have a good time, and it's a blast, man. 82 minutes, you can't fucking beat that. And with credits, you're under 80 minutes.
Yeah, you're
right?
you're probably at 70, 78, 79 minutes, 79 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's and man, they even leave it open. They even kind of leave it open for they could do a cool sequel. I don't know what they would do exactly, but like
that's my issue.
Yeah.
That's my issue.
I think they were trying to be artsy with it, and they might have like stretched a little bit.
I think a little bit, but, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Cool. So we're gonna go with spoilers. So this movie starts off with this. You get a random killer with a lot. These masks in this movie are all pretty unique, but this one kind of reminds me of like The Strangers or something like, or not The Strangers, the first Purge. Like that's what it kind of reminds me of, like, that, like, kind of like 50s looking gentleman kind of mask type thing, but like he's like going after some woman, and then another one comes in, and is that what happens?
That's what happened. That's the cold open.
Yeah.
Woman's running from this big beastly dude, and then another big beastly dude shows up, and they duke it out, and then it ends with the beastly dude that showed up second winning, and then he carries this girl off. Now we don't know if he killed her or what, but he just carries this girl off. He picks her up and he carries her off, or carries off with him. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting, cool, fun little cold open. But and then we get into the movie. It gets into it pretty quick though. Right after a little opening credits, we meet those two girls, and then they get kidnapped. It's like pretty fast.
Yeah, I know he's very sassy. The cool transition, like, is like, can you? I have to go feed him real quick, or he's gonna fucking ruin the rest of our recording. God, everything tonight, man. Everything. Can you pause it, or there'll just be a gap? Okay?
I can pause it. I will pause it.
Last week it was your dogs.
Yeah, I started.
Last week it was your dogs, and
my dogs were being robbed last week.
Yep. But the cool transition from that cold opener in, like, into the title and everything like that, it doesn't make a lot of sense at first, right? Because you don't know what's happening, and you get a very like technological, and you're like,
a lot of computers, is this just like some and shit like that?
Yeah. But you get that like kind of cut out video feed when that at the very beginning, the transition, and it's like, that's weird, and you don't know yet. And then you get all the weird, like, you get the main character and her friend. Like, the main character is this like very like scared, like very conservative young girl, right? And her friend's out there like spray painting. What did you like? Fuck the patriarchy.
Yeah, fuck the patriarchy or some shit.
Yeah. Which is funny because I don't know. You saw the Met Gala bullshit that came out this week, and one of these morons pegged the patriarchy, and it's like I don't know. It's a thing. It's another one of those things that people are like, yeah, taking in the ass is like demeaning or something like that. And you're like, come on, guys, come on.
Hey, man, everybody's got their kink.
Exactly, man. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, shut up. No, but the and those two have fights because the friend is like, basically, you're way too like conservative and scared to do things right.
Yeah, she basically mentions that she's got a babysitter and shit like that. So
yeah, her friend's kind of a bitch. It comes across like
kind of a little bit. Yeah. She definitely wants this girl to toughen up because, well, our main player, it's revealed pretty quickly that she's epileptic, and so she has seizures pretty regularly. And
she uses that as an excuse.
Like the other girl kind of feels like, well, you use that as a crutch all the time. She is kind of bitchy. She's a little bitchy, but cool though. She's cool. So, they're kidnapped really quick.
Oh, dude, they don't fuck around. Like,
they get into it in this movie.
Yeah, they get into it, and they the friends fight and they split up, and then the main character, whose name is, I don't even know if they mention her name, is Kayla, they say. She hears her friend screaming, and she runs down, and they both get knocked out, and you don't see much of her friend getting kidnapped. You just kind of see like,
you just see somebody just carrying her off, like you can barely make it. And then she only sees it for a second, and then she's knocked the fuck out.
And then they go directly into the title sequence, which is where you get a lot of the technological portion of this, like where they're going in and putting these implants in their eyes, which I don't know how. This is like one of the things that it's the most like out of like likely implausible thing in this whole movie, which is saying a lot. Like the bombs in their heads is like, whatever. But yeah, it's what's weird about that though? I was thinking, why did I understand why they put the bombs in the killer's heads. Why didn't they put the bombs in the
I don't know. I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting too. That I guess the beauties, because the whole play is, when these girls bust out, you see it says beauty number 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever.
It was 6 on hers, but
6 on hers. And then they find a box that says beast number whatever. So each beauty has a beast assigned with them, and the beast is supposed to protect that beauty. Well, I guess the reason they don't put the bombs in there is because they don't necessarily want the beauties to die. So I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, yeah, because you get one of the ending sequence of this movie, they go like, they say to get the winner ready for the next game, which is fucked up, right? Like they go, it's like, yo, you get to go do this again. It's very like Hunger Games too. We talk about Hunger Games because it's very like, or you stuck in these,
or there's another game they have to play that's not this game.
Yeah,
maybe
you don't really know because it's very like it ends. It's
movie ends, so
it's things like you remember when bum fights were a thing, kind of that kind of shit. Like it's kind of like you're using people, the rich are using people they think are below them to like entertain them, right? And you see that at the end of the movie where Kayla comes in that dude's house after she escapes, and he's like pissed off because his internet's all fucked up. But man,
she's an absolute fucking thug too, bro. She's a fucking thug, man.
Hey, can you imagine trying to carve your own eyeball out of your head?
No, Rod, I can't, and I don't. I can't, I don't, and I won't. I won't imagine it.
I laughed about that every time I see it, because I'm like, how did she remove her eyeball out of her head and it looks perfect? Like it's like it's still a perfect circle. Like like she just plopped it out like a nice.
She did get practice earlier.
She did. That's true. Yeah, she did.
She's like, okay, I know the angle that I need to insert the blade at.
Dude,
so fucked up.
That woman has to be one of the dumbest characters I've ever seen in a horror movie. So like,
which one are you talking about? Kayla?
It sounded like not Kayla. The bitch that walks up behind her.
Oh
like, sitting there with a machete.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just thinking that. Because, I wasn't just thinking that, but I thought that when I watched the movie, I was like, because, the sequence you're talking about is Kayla swings around real quick and smacks a girl right in the fucking neck with a machete. And of course,
with a machete,
she like, she dies and shit, like, because that'd be tough to survive. But who the fuck? You're right. I said that out loud, audibly to my wife. I said, she had that coming. She didn't even announce her presence. She just rolled up behind some random person, knowing that they're in the middle of some shit right now. And like you would,
and you see her with the machete in her hand. You see him,
you gotta be a stupid motherfucker.
In her
Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to be a stupid motherfucker to roll up unannounced.
Yeah. Well, dude. So they kidnap these girls, and they get like she opens up. The sequence goes, and you don't really know. You don't know what's happening. It's like a surgical like room that's like all high tech and shiny.
Yeah.
And but then Kayla wakes up in this box, and it very like vibes of like, what's that Ryan Reynolds movie, Buried or whatever it was? Was that what it was called?
Buried.
Which I never saw. I heard it was good, but like I never saw it. Yeah. But like it's like a common like trope in these kind of things where someone gets buried alive, right? But she wakes up in this box, and then this fucking thing goes off, and
wakes her the fuck up.
Like, well, yeah, it's like they went to the top things not to do to someone with epilepsy. They do like flashing lights and these loud noises, which I think loud noises also like trigger epilepsy too. I think like seizures.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
I think they do. I'm not quite sure, but and she ends up like, the box ends up, they're probably, like you said, they're just trying to wake these women up because they had all been like drugged to hell. And she wakes up and quickly finds like what, 2 other girls, like
she does. She runs off, but she does find those 2 other girls. One of them, I believe, is Sheena, because she ends up meeting back up with her. But they do. She ends up meeting up with Sheena, and I want to say the other one was Alice that she met with. Those 2.
Yeah, they have like all these girls, and they don't like. Again, it's a slash of the names. Like
are really. Super it's not very necessary.
Yeah,
this is definitely not a character
study
by any means.
Yeah. Well, she runs these girls, and they're like, yeah, no one knows what's going on. And this is when Kayla, like, she freaks the fuck out because she realizes she doesn't have her medication. And so she starts having these seizures.
Yeah.
And when she has seizures, she starts seeing someone else's vision, which it was funny because like, like it was, watching this movie and watching Malignant in the same week is like that, that vision swap kind of thing. It's kind of an interesting thing. But she has these seizures and these weird visions, and when she wakes up, one of the 2 girls is still with her. And this is where like the other one, like one of the that other, the one who ran off is kind of she's not like the antagonist, but she's kind of
she certainly becomes one.
Yeah. But she's like it's that, after living through 2020 and 2021 and all the shit that's happened, you go, yeah, people don't handle stress. And it's like, no, we all know that in the real world, but like, this is like more, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it was completely believable now. I mean, it's not that it wasn't before. But yeah, so she wakes up, and one of these killers walks up on her and this other girl, and they run off after, like, they do this, like, it's like we're gonna trick a dog by throwing a stick to distract them. But it's, I don't know, they never actually, like, I'm pretty sure that these like killers, all these killers, the beasts, they had their vocal cords cut out or something, right? Because none of them talk.
None of them talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
These guys talk.
It just they kind of grunt. I do laugh like when she sees her beast, and he goes and like waves at her, like
he
a
waves
little,
at her. I loved it. Yeah, that was absolutely wonderful. Yeah, he was friendly. He was a friendly guy. He genuinely wanted to protect her. And then possibly maybe play Yahtzee afterwards.
Maybe. I was wondering, did they have like an orientation video for the killers? It was like, so now you're a beast. And like, because these guys they knew the rules, right?
They knew what they needed to do. Yeah. And I was like, they knew who they needed to protect too. And I was trying. How did they know that? Maybe there was like a picture of them in the box or something like that. But they knew what they needed to do, and they knew that who they needed to protect. Is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Let's get into that kill.
Yeah.
That first kill we see on.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. So
holy shit.
So she ends up like, yeah, she runs off, and then like the girl that had stayed with her ends up getting caught by, is it the Kayla's protector or whatever? I think it is.
No, it's not. It's not like, Kayla's protector. It's not Kayla's beast at all. No, it's okay. It's a different one, well, I believe.
Yeah, but yeah, he catches up to her.
It might be. It might have been.
I don't know. Now. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, this is brutal as fuck, dude.
I love it. Yeah, this was awesome.
He catches up to her and then like puts his axe into the side of her cheek. And it's like, you see this like shot that's really, really well done, where like, it's obviously practical effects. And you're like, but like her face starts like peeling off. Like,
oh yeah.
Like he's so like
fucking cool.
You just compare it to like peeling the skin off an apple, kind of like, and he's like, it chucks up like so far, and like the extent of what they could do with practical effects on this girl's face, right? And it's really cool looking. And then it goes plop, and like he just pulls the rest of her face off with this axe. And I think the best part of it is like you start seeing like blood spurting out, like of her, like where her eyeballs would be, like in her nose, in her like, and you're like, holy fuck! It's one of the more gnarly.
It's one of the better kills I've seen in slasher in recent memory. It's fucking good. It's up there, man. That's a great kill. I loved it. I was like, holy shit. Yeah. Because I did when I first saw it, the blades start to go into the skin and lift it up a little bit. And I was like, how far are they going to go with this? How far could they go with this? I was curious. They went there, man. I was like, that's some commitment. That was really good. That was a really cool kill. Love it.
That's one of those shots where I go, I feel like if this was an MPAA thing, like that scene would have gotten cut. Like it would have gotten like edited down, which is weird because Australia is, if you know anything about Australia, they're very like the two countries in this world that we know, like in the first world countries that are known for like super sense, like censoring shit, are like Australia and Germany. Germany, you kind of know why. You give them too much shit and they get riled up and they're invading Poland in a couple days. But like Australia is very like about that too, and it's like, okay. But like, man, I don't know, man. I feel like that would have had a hard time getting an R rating just from that. Yeah. So when Kayla, like she runs off like while this is happening, and this is where she runs out.
That's happening. She's passed out while that's happening.
Oh, is that what it was? That she was passed out.
She has one of her seizures and she kind of passes out. And when she's passed out is when that girl takes her opportunity to try and run. Doesn't get better.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. Oh no, not at all.
She wakes up. Kayla wakes up and finds her. So she finds the rest of her.
Yeah, dude. She finds girls multiple times in this movie that are just kind of brutal. Like she finds the arm girl a little bit, but
because
she runs off.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna go ahead. I was right there where you are. Yeah, I was just gonna say because she goes and runs off and she ends up running into this girl.
Yeah, she finds the border too, right? Like she finds the border.
Yeah, that's where
there's a bunch of these like. Yeah. Yep. She finds that and like where she runs into it and like it fucking makes her like head like explode kind of with pain. Yeah. And then she finds this girl who runs out to her. And this is where her beast fucking chucks the axe into her back. And
he does.
Fucking like,
yeah, he yeets that axe. he would win prizes in state fairs for his axe throwing skills.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many like so my wife, axe axe throwing things, like little hand axe throwing things, are all over the
place,
America now. Like they're like in this trend, yeah. But like this motherfucker takes like a Paul Bunyan axe and chucks it at her, like double head axe, like, and he hits her like 30 feet or something. It's a fucking kind of crazy shot.
Yeah.
And he see the thing when I think of that, like if he hit her in the spine at all, that bitch was like not moving.
Oh, it
like,
was
she runs away.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first time where you kind of see the interactions with the with this current setup since that cold opener with the beast, right? Because it's the I kind of call him like the Texas Chainsaw motherfucker shows up, who looks like he's got like, so Kayla's beast, his head looks like a beehive kind of, right? It's like, yeah. I don't even know how to. It reminded me of Stargate Atlantis. If you ever watched Stargate Atlantis, like the wraiths kind of thing. Yeah,
I think I know.
But it's a cool look. Like, yeah, it's got like holes all over it, and it kind of has that like kind of rugged thing. They all kind of like have like very like Michael Myers kind of like, like jumpsuits or prison jumpsuits on, like also, but and he's going to go after this girl, Kayla's beast, and then this guy who looks like he's got like a human skinned human on him, like the skin of a human on top of his suit. And it's kind of it's cool looking. Like all this fucking like killers designs in this movie are pretty fucking dope.
Yeah, all the beast designs are pretty dope.
And these yeah, they run into those two start fighting, and then Kayla grabs this girl and runs off. Does she have another seizure at this point? Because
no, she when she hides her away, she hides her in like a hollow tree. But that dude finds her pretty shortly after. Yeah. This is where we get that tree kill where he another
brutal kill. Yeah,
savage. Yeah.
He takes her and she's sitting there, and he grabs her arms and pulls them out like behind the tree, like behind her back, and rips both of her arms off. Oh. And this is what I was joking with you earlier. I don't know what kind of strength this girl was tiny, right? She wasn't a very big girl, no. But like you see it later, like he doesn't rip them clear off. Like he like rips them like right around the elbow. Just
like her left arm was like broken like right around the elbow, and then the other one was broken up close to the shoulder. Yeah, it was he didn't pull them out of the shoulder sockets and then rip them out of the skin. No, he snapped bones when he did that, and it's pretty bizarre. But the gore effects on it are great.
Yeah,
it doesn't show the actual
they're pretty
arms get pulled off. It cuts away, and then we see it's a body reveal because Kayla again comes across this
finding
she finds a lot of dead people, man. She finds a lot of dead people in this movie.
And she kills a couple of them, she only kills one.
She kills one, and then assists the hatchet girl a kill on another.
Yeah, she doesn't do anything, right? Like,
she stands there and lets her beast show up and bury his axe in the back of fucking Sheena's head.
Yeah, he fucking splits her fucking head in half, man. That's another
that's awesome.
Like, yeah. Well, dude, it's funny because like you have to do cool stuff with like, if you have people using axes and like machetes and shit. I mean, you and I have watched a lot of fucking slasher movies, and you've seen a lot of stuff, like, but doing like the head cut like or split in half like that was pretty dope. Like, I don't know. I don't know about you. I still think that Terrifier kill is probably the most shocking slasher kill of the last 20 years, pretty easily. The hacksaw,
the hacksaw. Yeah, you're right. That's that's a not a pleasant kill to watch by any means.
Not an easy one, man. Not an easy one. So she finds that girl after all this shit, and then she goes into the little the abandoned gold mining town at this point, right? Like where she finds this town with a bunch of maps. Like about this Eureka village Springs. And everything like that.
I live 3 or 4 hours away from a Eureka Springs in Arkansas. This is not the same town. Eureka Springs that I go to is very much it's mostly famous for a haunted hotel.
So that where you went last year with your wife? I remember you going to that for like your anniversary or something last year.
Yeah, we went there on a ghost tour at that hotel.
But it's in Arkansas, so I wouldn't be surprised if there were some motherfuckers running around in there that look like these beasts, but maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Damn, bro. Swinging for the fences. So any of the Arkansas fans out there, if you want,
I'm not worried about that. I love you. If you're listening to this, you don't look like these people. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking around. But so she finds this little abandoned town. It looks like it used to be like, it looks like there was a gold mining town, and then they turned it into a tourist trap at some point, and then like apparently it got shut down. Because like if it was just a gold mining town, they wouldn't have a fucking map up on like a poster board map of the town, right?
It was really funny when we were watching the movie. Of course, I was like, it's in the woods, and she started fighting with a stick, and of course, all I could think of was Friday the 13th. And I'm like, you only got one hit with that stick. You're gonna send them one time, but then it's gonna break.
Yeah.
And then when she found that abandoned town, I was like, I'd never seen this before, but I said she needs to find the map board. Because there's a map board on F-13 maps.
Yeah.
And I was like, she needs to find the map board so she knows where she's at. And she fucking found one. I was like,
found it right away.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And you're like, oh, okay, this was a tourist trap or something. And this is where she goes into this building, and this girl sneaks up on her, and she fucking chunks her in the neck with a machete. I'm sorry, bitch. I know you're freaking out, but like,
announce yourself to the scared person with the machete, because she's going through the same shit, and she's going to be a little on edge.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
She said literally nothing and just rolled up right behind this girl. And you should have announced your presence. Said hello, friendship.
Yeah.
Friendship's important at this time.
Or throw something at her from like the dozens of items in this like little whatever shop or in this old village. She turns around and chunks her, and then this girl's like, why did you do that? And she didn't say it. She gets like, that's her. She's like,
I know they do. The other two girls roll in and get them. She gives them a mad stare. Yeah.
They roll in, and she's got like the machete in her neck. She's like, I was just doing my taxes. I don't know what you did.
This doesn't look inconspicuous at all.
I'm not.
She has a seizure here though at this moment.
Yeah.
She passes out.
Yeah. And this is. Yeah, where she gets more visions, like, right? And you know what
and she gets her weapon stolen too.
Yeah,
takes her weapon.
The twatty girl takes her machete. Well, dude, that and this Rose, man. Rose is probably my least favorite character in this.
Rose is a fucking psycho, bro.
Yeah.
Rose is a fucking psycho.
Man, she would crazy. Really like Halloween Horror Nights, wouldn't she?
Yeah, she would be all up in. Yeah, she would be all up in that HHN season pass every year, just going through the Texas Chainsaw House over and over and over again. Right when she goes to the exit, just jumps back in line.
But
I bet she wears a fucking mask.
Yeah, I bet she does. She does. She has another one of these. You know what I didn't realize at first? She's seeing like random people every time, right?
Yeah, because it's not the same person. Yeah, I thought the same. I noticed that too.
Because this time she goes into the beast of her friend, right? The friend of her, like from the beginning.
Owl. It was the guy had like an owl mask on.
Yeah, which reminded me a lot of that. I've never seen it the slasher from the 80s with the that's like at a play where they're rehearsing a play, and someone in an owl mask is murdering everyone. I forget the name of it. It's on Shudder or something. It's like one of the more It's like one of those very 80s slashers, but like I forget the name of that. I can't think of the name.
The only one I'm
offhand.
thinking of is Fade to Black. I don't know. I don't think that's the one you're talking about though.
They're rehearsing for a play, and like they, for some reason, the director locks them in overnight, and some psychopath in a, I guess there's someone in an owl costume in the fucking play, but then this like escaped convict, like, or psycho crazy person is like killing someone. If you guys know what I'm talking about, I can't think of the name of it because I've never seen that. I just know of the movie. Yeah, so like she sees her friend, and this owl guy hides her off in like some very specific like landmarks areas, like one of the gold tunnels or something like that.
Yeah.
And when she wakes up, it's just her and this Rose girl, and she's like, I stayed with you, and she's like very needy, right? This Rose character is very needy.
Yeah.
She's like, now you're my friend, right? We're best friends forever. I love you. I've tattooed you right on my above my pussy. I mean, I don't know what's going on. No, this Rose is crazy. And she's very needy, and she's like, you know, I watched you. We're friends, and she basically tells her
stage fright, by the way.
Yeah, is that what it's called? Stage fright. Okay.
Stage fright. I could not let that go.
Do you know what I'm talking about though? Like, I mean, do you?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. It's been.
I've never seen the movie.
I have seen it. Yeah, it's been a long time. I have seen it.
That owl mask is pretty notorious, right? Like, in again, horror, like slasher movies, like if you have a cool mask on a villain or a cool look on a villain, it's a cool thing, right? So
100%.
Yeah. So she wakes up and she's like, Kayla starts interrogating Rose about like these visions, and Rose remembers them a little bit, right? Like the operating room.
She remembers the operating room. Yeah.
Yeah. And at this point, Kayla says, "Fuck it, I fucking shoved the machete into this girl's neck. So now I'm gonna pop out her eyeball." So what I wonder though, like when Kayla wakes up, and this is something I don't know if you noticed the first time, she's got like a little blood under her eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's her left eye, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
And so like it's a nice touch because it comes back to what happened and how that got installed. But I'm wondering how she just went like and dug into this. She goes, oh, okay, and gets like a spoon or something, and chunks this girl's eyeball out of her head, which has been like wrapped with like electrical whatever. There's a couple things. One, I don't know how they're fucking powering it, unless there's a battery attached to that or something.
Battery. Probably a battery.
Yeah, I don't know. It's lighting up, right? But yeah, so then and then the other girl comes back and she's like, why the fuck is this girl's eyeball out of her head?
Yeah. Pretty much exactly what she thinks too. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where you kind of like the shit really starts hitting the fan, right? Like this is kind of like where you're setting up a lot of the last confrontations. Like the skin dude coat comes up, and this is like you get some brutal shit in this part, right? Like I don't even know if I can remember all of it. Like this is actually one of the crazier shots in this whole movie. So the skin dude is coming after Kayla. She cuts his fingers off with like, I don't know what she had, but she cuts his fingers off. And then he starts shoving his hand with no fingers into this girl's mouth.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
It is exactly what's happening. 100%.
It's really weird. I mean, it's an interesting thing to do in the scene, right? Like, cause it's like, this motherfucker is just trying to kill her. However, he doesn't care if he's like fucking Stubbs McGee, like choking her. But like, then this guy ends up like someone. How many? This whole fucking part is fucking like balls to the wall, right? Because this is really like the third act of like
it's pretty bizarre. Yeah, this movie has there's definitely a. It's hard to determine when one act and one begins for sure. But so there's kind of an interesting pacing feeling that goes on here, because we were I don't know, it's hard to explain when we get to this part, but you're right, a lot of shit goes down very quickly. in this moment.
Yeah.
Because in this whole moment, this is everything that happens, and it happens like back and like boom, 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 boom. Because Rose gets attacked. And what's her face has to save her from this attack. Okay. And then she ends up going after Sheena, because Sheena is going after Maddie, and then Rose gets attacked again. And then it's like a lot of shit happens really quickly in this little sequence right here. And this is when Kayla tricks or just distracts Sheena long enough for this fucking dude to walk right up behind her and just bury his axe into the back of her head, and then he hits her again and splits her open. But when that happens, when he kills that beast, when he kills what's her face,
the other girl,
the other beast that's attacking what's her face
Rose
at this time? Rose dies. His head explodes, so that's how Kayla is able to save Rose. It's pretty bizarre. It's kind of clunky how everything kind of happens.
Well, they're doing the thing because they
kind of going on one viewing, honestly, because I've only seen this one time today. That's it.
It's so the Kayla thing is like, it's very weird this part, because like she's like figured out all this stuff, and so she's telling Rose to keep her face covered up, because again these beasts can't kill their own girls, right? Because they're killing themselves. So she's doing this, and like there's a part where like her arm is like going through, and they end up like, how do they take that? They take one of the beasts down, and then they're like shoving a drill kind of thing.
That's the one that brutal, dude. Yeah, that's the one that grabs Rose when she's trying to pull her out through underneath the little doodad, the little wall. Which is kind of funny, because like why they bothered going through that tiny little opening was kind of fucking beyond me anyway, because they could have just waited because the fucking shack was only like, we're talking about a 14 by 14 little shack. And they could have just waited for somebody to not be on the other side and then just fucking walked out. I thought it was kind of overkill for them to climb out underneath this. So that was kind of silly. But it made for a decent little scare moment, because they're playing tug of war with Rose, because that one killer because she gets like a typical fucking ignorant victim. She gets her fucking foot all tied up in some bullshit. I'm stuck. And I was like, so they played tug of war with her for a little bit. But it's that's the one that they should Kayla stabs him in the stomach or the chest or whatever with that big screw, and then a spigot screw thing, and when he falls down, she just starts twisting it and turning it into that's the same guy that tries to shove his stumpy fucking fingerless hand down her. Dude, it's like, but it's they zoom in on that too, and it's like, oh man, they really went with the practical effects in this, and they're all good. Like, I want to say that I read my wife read somewhere that they used like I think she said like a third of the fucking budget went to practical effects, which I'm like, that's 17 million. That's got to be inaccurate on IMDb. Where would there's not there's not $5 million worth of visual effects here, so I think the budget is inaccurate in IMDb. Or companies are real. So I don't know. I mean, the like you think about it, like 17, like I would give this movie a 7. Like if I was going off of it, like I would say $17 million with marketing. Like if you're including marketing, but I never heard of it. I would believe that. You know what I mean? I mean, it's an Australian movie, so like, you don't expect it. But like horror movies don't get the fucking big a budget, right? Like, typically. I guess you're trying to tell me this movie had a higher budget than fucking Halloween from 2018. I don't think so. And like, it's shot in the middle of nowhere. It's got cool special effects. We're not shitting on this movie. Oh no. We're saying that it doesn't. This is an enjoyable movie. It's just, you're just going. Halloween is like the new 2018 is like
you're in a town and like, Michael Myers and all this stuff and big Jamie Lee Curtis and all this stuff, right? So yeah,
you
so
gotta
all
give
this
money to Anthony
like,
Michael Hall too, baby. Bryan fucking Johnson from the
yes.
Breakfast Club. Or Johnny B. Good from
So like
Johnny B. Good.
yeah. The I was just something to ask you about something. Oh, let's say it real quick before we go. Do you see they're making Anthony what's his name from Winter Soldier and stuff? Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They're doing a Twisted Metal television show for something with Anthony Mackie is like producing it or something like that. I saw it today and I'm like, man, there's a fucking blast from my past. Yeah. If you guys don't know, Twisted Metal is an old video game where they had like basically had serial killers running around in random vehicles, like fighting each other with their vehicles. And yeah.
Anthony Mackie,
but yeah, so like
John
all this
Doe in live action Twisted Metal series from Sony TV. I am on board with this, sir.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Me too, man. But so basically at the end, like towards the very end of the scene, like there's only Rose, Kayla, and her Kayla's beast, but then Kayla promptly stabs her beast to death and is like fucking
she like, kills her own beast. She says, "You're my beast, aren't you?" And then he just kind of walks by. Now mind you, he's all fucked up because we thought he got killed earlier by that one that he got by this one that had this sickle.
He got slashed a couple of times.
Oh, he got slashed pretty good.
She takes him out, and then so all that's left is her and Rose. And Rose is fucking stupid at this point because Rose is like, "You didn't save me," but she did. But she did save you.
Yeah, this girl's crazy. This girl's fucking crazy. We find out very quickly.
Yeah, she's
definitely crazy.
She's very bonkers. And so they go to find her friend where she knows where she is from these visions. And this is like one of the most fucked up things that happens this whole movie. And it's Rose is actually kind of smart this part, but it's fucked up. So they go and find this girl. Yeah. And while they're sitting there with her, her friend's beast shows up and is the one with the cool owl mask.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a pitchfork.
Yeah.
So he's going all Friday Part 2 on and he's like walking up, and this Kayla has another one of her seizures. And when this happens, Rose goes, "Oh, I know how to deal with this," and slits her friend's throat.
Yeah, so that the Maddie's throat. Yeah, and then the owl's head explodes. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. Like, it's but that's when you're like, yeah, Rose is kind of crazy.
She's crazy,
like kind of crazy.
You have to go. You go. She did save her life, though, if you think about it, because if she hadn't done that, she wasn't moving Kayla. She wasn't moving her because Kayla, probably weighs more than her. Is a bigger girl, taller girl than Rose, and you go, okay. I mean, it did what it was supposed to do, but man, I do have to say though, the fucking head exploding in this movie from the beast was dope, because like a lot of the times they don't make their heads actually explode in these movies. They did in the Suicide Squad, like that just came out. But man, the heads are like, they explode and there's just gore everywhere when that shit happens, right? So
I'm here for it.
It's pretty brutal. So then Kayla wakes up and she's like, what the fuck did you, like Rose tells her, she's like, I took care of the thing. Yeah, you did. Not in exactly great way, but you did.
And the thing is like, is right before Kayla has her seizure, she's like, there's 3 of us and only one of them. And then she promptly has a seizure and falls down. Rose really doesn't waste a whole lot of time either. Like she pulls that knife out and just slits poor Maddie's throat. She doesn't even see it coming.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting because of course what happens next is obviously Kayla's not down to be friends with Rose anymore. She has soiled that relationship, and they kind of go off on their own ways.
Yeah, and this is where Kayla goes back to where the boundary was and says YOLO and proceeds to remove her own eyeball. And when she does this, that's like how they're like they must have some kind of like heart monitor or something like that with them. And they declare Rose the winner. And a little bit after this, you see you hear the like prepare the winner for the next game or whatever. Like they're like, oh, that's fucked up, right? I mean, you think about it, they can't let these people live or like walk out because they've seen all this shit, right? But and Kayla goes off into the sunset after pulling out her own eyeball like a fucking boss.
Yeah, she's pretty gangster.
And this is where we're talking about. We'll get to she we cut to this fucking rich ass motherfucker. I think there's like a Lamborghini or something in his like
there's a Ferrari. It's a Ferrari, yeah.
It's a Ferrari. And this motherfucker is like watching in his headset this event that just happened. So you have to go. There's some kind of disconnect because when Kayla's going out and leaving at the end of this, she takes the sensor thing because I guess because the brand, like the company, and this is how she's going to track these motherfuckers.
That's exactly right. Yeah, she wants
to track them down. Yeah,
know where that was made and shit like that, so she can track it.
Yeah,
but this is actually the part that I don't like. I actually don't. I really wish that it had ended maybe right after they announced Rose the winner, and it just left it open. But maybe, I don't know, because this whole sequence is kind of hokey feeling to me, and it just felt and the reason why I say it's hokey and is because there's absolutely no closure now in this movie, because she terrorizes this fucking guy and he gives her a name, and then the fucking movie ends, and I'm fine with that.
Well, and
go ahead.
And it ends, but it also ends where she's sitting there talking to her dead friend that isn't there anymore.
Yeah, because they say that you know she says she has hallucinations sometimes when she has these seizures and shit. But now she's just having hallucinations all the time.
Yeah, they call them fits, I think, a couple times in the movie, right? They call them a fit. But it's really weird. I don't know if I don't know. They were trying to do a shocking ending or something like that. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, this last scene doesn't feel as connected to the rest.
Yeah,
of the movie,
it really doesn't. It feels super. Yeah, it feels super out there, and it feels out of place.
I wonder. I really do. Was this? We talk about like producers and studios. Did like someone come in and have them add this last scene? I wonder. I'm curious. Like maybe it's something to look into. Because as we're talking about it, yeah, it does. But I mean, I don't think it hurts the movie. I don't think it's not like it's not like Jeepers Creepers bad of ending, but it's a little like if you're gonna point, again, it's a slasher. It's a cool modern slasher, but it's not like, again, it's not winning Academy Awards. It's something that I like to say on this show because I never want to sell this, like a lot of these movies, as being, oh my God, this is the greatest film ever. But I'm honest with how I feel about them. And this movie's a blast. Like, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I really did.
Yeah. That's one of those things though. I think Shudder does their thing. And I'm not sure, like, one, I don't know if a lot of people know about Shudder outside of like the hardcore horror community, right? Like, so these cool little movies that I think even people who aren't hardcore, but like they like horror, would enjoy a lot of these movies. And it's just like, man, Shudder, you need to go out there and like chuck some advertising out there and go, hey, $6 a month, you could get all these cool movies, right? So
yeah.
I don't know.
I pay mine annually, man. I love Shudder.
I know you told me my dumbass wastes money on too many things on a monthly basis. So yeah, man, this movie is a blast. So it's good time. If you, again, 82 minutes is it's
a breeze,
it's a
baby.
Perfect runtime. Yeah, like
it's a breeze.
Josh and I have talked about a lot on this show about how 90 minutes is kind of like that. It feels like the perfect runtime for a horror movie. Not saying you can't have a longer movie, but it's like that sweet spot, and you have to do a lot in that, like if you're going much longer than that to like not make it feel like it's, wasting your time or like ADHDing like Josh and I often do like out of movies. So yeah. But yeah, if you have Shudder, go watch this movie. It's a fucking blast. Like they kind of pointed that out like when we were talking about before spoilers, but this movie is a ton of fun. So yeah, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like, because if you would do a fun slasher movie, I could always like. There's a lot of really like just you enjoy that kind of stuff, right? And this is the kind of stuff that's just cool. Like, I feel like slashers feel like, especially for me growing up. I mean, you got a couple years on me, but like, it's like when I was growing up in the 80s, like I didn't get to watch a lot of these movies like as a kid, and my parents didn't like. They would let me watch Die Hard and like Alien and shit like that, but I didn't get to watch a lot of the like the video store movies. Like so, the 80s slashers were always kind of this like horror idea in my head. Like it was like Jason and Freddy and shit like that. But like as I've watched more and delved more into this genre, it's made a like a it's been always been one of these things where I've held a personal fondness for, right?
Oh yeah. It's easily my favorite decade of horror, and slasher is easily my favorite subgenre of horror.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will if it's an 80s slasher, I'm down to watch it. And I've seen a lot. And I've run across some that I haven't too, and that's been super fun to rediscover.
Yeah.
I found one for sale that I got called Road Games, and I haven't watched it yet. It's got Jamie Lee Curtis in it, bro. It's a Jamie Lee Curtis horror slasher.
That might be
her and Stacy Keach.
That's the one I was talking about earlier. That's in Australia.
That takes place in Australia? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was like right when Jamie Lee was doing that weird like transition. Like they were still like it was like, how she's kind of like a side character in The Fog, kind of like that. That's what kind of seems like she was like that in that movie.
Okay.
That's that movie I was talking about where like they're being chased. It kind of like I've never seen it either. It has very like kind of compare it to like something like Joyride with the
that's the vibes that I got from it. I haven't watched it yet, but I picked up the Blu-ray. It was super cheap. So
yeah, man, you call Jamie Lee the ultimate scream queen, and you go, why? Because like, man, she did so many cool movies. Like I don't know, like a lot of that stuff doesn't hold up very well. Prom Night's terrible. Like the first Prom Night,
can't stand that movie.
I know how much you love the second one.
Oh yeah, obviously, I love Prom Night too. Hello Mary Lou. That's a fucking that's a masterpiece. In my opinion, which is obviously a very very nostalgic opinion. Honestly,
dude, it's I mean that means a lot, man. Like seeing a movie like that, like when you're young, means a lot because it lays that. I mean, that's one of those reasons why I love Aliens. I don't even remember when I saw Alien. I grew up watching that movie and Aliens. And it's kind of why like my sci-fi horror is such a thing that, resonates with me for that stuff. But yeah, it's it means a lot, man. When
Jamie
you see
did
stuff
a lot in the late 70s and the early 80s. I just got it pulled up and I was like, holy shit. Yeah, she did nothing but fucking horror.
Terror Train was another one that I don't think holds up very well. It's not bad. Yeah, but like I don't know how well you could really. I just watched that one. I think I fell asleep during that one. But like, it's a little weird. But like, I mean, I still think, dude, you talk about it when on Dead in Santa Carla. I still think The Fog is one of those movies that is so underrated. And after that fucking shit show of a remake, holy balls!
Apparently, they want to try and remake it again. I've heard, but I hope they don't.
Dude, John Carpenter's not even dead.
Perfect, yeah.
John Carpenter's not even dead, and they're like doing these things like over and over and over again, and it's like one of these remakes is gonna be what kills that motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, that was because even Deborah Hill produced that Fog remake and everything, and it's not good. It's so far from good. Saying it's bad is giving it a compliment because it just had there was no flow in that movie. I want to talk about it one of these days on the pod, just so I can shit all over it. Because while Andy says there's not a lot of movies that Andy hates, and Jason Goes to Hell is one that he does. I think I fucking
that episode.
I think I fucking hate the Fog remake. I think I really do.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that movie.
Dude, I think it, like, if we're gonna go with that, like, we're going to talk about John Carpenter things. If you dude, the Thing remake, I will never. I've only seen that movie once. It was in the theater, and the thought of the movie makes me like twitch. It's like because it's like what you're talking about. It's like it's a blasphemy for me. Like
yeah. See, I've seen the pre. It's because it's, I guess it's a prequel to John Carpenter's. But I've seen it one time and I did not like it. But the reason I didn't like it had very little to do with like the actual story or the performances or anything like that.
The CGI.
The CGI was fucking awful. And the thing about it was that they actually had filmed that with practical effects.
Yeah.
And apparently they look fucking amazing, but for some reason did not use hardly any of them. And to me, I don't understand why you do something so incredibly stupid, because they couldn't have possibly taken a look at that and said, man, that's fucking great, bro. You know what I mean? Like there's no way. There's no way. They looked at that and said, fuck yeah, CGI baby, woo, and shit. And it looks awful. It looks so awful. Oh god, that movie pissed me off.
CG and horror, man, don't go together very well. Like it's just amazing because it's like for everything like for like I don't know, would you say Cloverfield's probably one of the better examples of like horror-ish movies with CGI, because like Cloverfield is what it is. I don't know, like it's
being the found footage format that it is, it lends itself to being able to pull off CGI, because you can overlay like that grainy effect over it that you get when you have like cheap ass fucking camcorders or whatever, because you know it's got that home video feel, and that helps cover up some of those imperfections that you'll see when you do CGI effects. But I think I absolutely love Cloverfield though. So
I still think Cloverfield Lane is a better movie though, but I don't know.
I think I really like tend to agree actually. 10 Cloverfield Lane or whatever it is, with John Goodman.
Yeah, John Goodman, man.
What's that? Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Elizabeth, who we were talking about The Thing. She was in that. She was one of the bright spots in that.
That and Joel,
I guess people
Edgerton or whatever his name is, because he was in that too. He's pretty good.
Man, she's like, I need to watch that Netflix movie, Kate.
Which is supposed to be I'll probably watch that pretty soon. Looks pretty badass.
Okay, man. Let's wrap up. Dude,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Trying to say
goodbye. Go ahead, man.
I was just gonna rattle on about 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Go ahead, man, dude.
Go off on
10 Cloverfield Lane.
I think I tend to agree to piggyback on what you said. That's it's a much better it's a more better and more well conceived film than Cloverfield is, I think. It's interesting that they lumped it into that franchise though, because they really didn't even need to do that.
Well, it's a fucking, the only thing that they set, it gives you that setting to do that movie, right? Like it isn't, you could have done it without it, but like it feels more authentic in that setting,
I think you're right, because if they do it without it, then they got to give John Goodman another motive, a darker motive. He's already a dark presence in the movie anyway, because he's taken this girl hostage, you know. And fucking, he's a fucking murderer. but it's interesting that when you lump it into that franchise, it gives him a little validation for what he wanted to do, just to exercise his sick fucking habits anyway.
it makes more sense. Not that I saw it, but the other Cloverfield movie, the space one, which
I've never watched.
Wasn't another movie that wasn't a fucking. It wasn't a Cloverfield movie, and then they made it Cloverfield.
Yeah,
dude, I always will laugh about that. I will always laugh about making a movie, like taking a script and going. I mean, so basically every Hellraiser movie, right?
Yeah,
like, it's like every movie they.
Yeah, anything past Hellraiser 5 or whatever, 4, some shit like that. Yeah. They weren't Hellraiser movies, and they just shoehorned Pinhead into this. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Pinhead's in Dead by Daylight now, which is fucking, doesn't make any sense at all.
It's pretty badass, though. He's pretty badass.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's Pinhead, dude. It's Doug.
Actually, when you read the lore on it, it actually does. They do make it make sense.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I can't play competitive games anymore. I just can't. I fucking.
I need to get 5 people together and play Kill Your Friends all night. Then is what we need to do.
Yeah, so I could do that, but like, man, dude, I streamed some Dead by Daylight, and I was playing as like a killer, and I had the fucking survivors fucking with me, and they timed out and all died, and I was never so happy to watch like assholes just die in a game, and I was like, you fucking douchebag.
Yeah, that community can be kind of toxic at times.
And multiplayer games, man, it just spawns that shit. So yeah. Okay, Bryan, I know you're going back to work next week. See how long that lasts. Yeah, every time they send you back to work, it's like you last like what 2 or 3 weeks, and then they're like, okay, you're back.
We worked. I think the last time we worked 5 weeks, and then we were off for 4. And I only worked 4 of those 5 weeks because I took a week of vacation last week. And then right like midway through my vacation, they're like, oh, by the way, you're laid off next week. And I was like, oh, well, shit. I was like, why did I take this vacation? I could just say, oh, well, it's whatever.
Yeah. Well, dude, you've been a great help in this lining up episodes while Josh is out of commission. So I appreciate you.
Yeah,
it's been a blast.
Man. It's always a good time jumping on, talking horror with you and hanging out with you. So we talk a lot outside of the podcast anyway. So,
we do. We're text messaging and bullshitting a lot. So yeah. You want to plug your shit, not that everyone doesn't know. Like
if you guys want to hear me and Andy rattle on about horror movies, just check out Dead in Santa Carla. We're available on all podcast platforms. Follow us on Twitter at Dead in SC Podcast, and you can follow me on Twitter at Santa Carla Bryan.
He crossed his 500 followers, and
I hit 500.
Big pimping now.
I'm a big baller now. I'm in pursuit of that check mark.
It means, and we don't mean Nicki Minaj's cousin's friends giant testicles or the fuck is happening with that.
I don't know what's going on with you anymore right
now. I don't know either. Is that fucking thing that was happening, man? The news, fucking Trinidad or some shit. I don't fucking know. Yes, everyone. For Murder Moose stuff, we have Murder Moose Pod on Twitter. We have murdermoose.com, and that will link to all the stuff, including our Discord and shit like that. So come talk to us. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening. And thanks for listening. I am recording in the next tomorrow or next couple of days. The next week's episode. Me and Jerry Smith are talking about Malignant, so that's gonna be a good time. So go watch that if you haven't. Not everyone's gonna like it, but I had a fucking blast in the movie, so it'll be good talk. And I really like that movie soundtrack is really fucking wonky and cool. So that's why I was like, why I thought talking about that with Jerry would be cool, because he does soundtracks. So yeah. So everybody, thank you for listening. We will see you next time for Malignant, and have a good one, and see you guys later. So